Alright, so we're back with lesson 12. This lesson talks about the relationship between absolute value and order. Alright, so if we recall, absolute value is a number's distance from 0 on the number line. So we're going to start with our opening exercise, which tells us to use the following numbers to record your integer values in order from least to greatest in the space below. So what you're going to do for that is you're going to draw yourself a number line in that open space that you see provided. You're going to draw the number line that you see here, and we're going to graph these numbers on the number line, and then we're going to put them in order from least to greatest. So let's get started with that. So our first number is -8. Nayeli, come on up and graph -8 for me. Just put a dot on -8. Then I want you to put a dot on +3. Put a big one so they can see it. Really big dot.
Put a big one on 8.
Alright. Then put something, make it darker.
I want to
Big
do
like
one.
that.
I want to do one.
Alright, then put one on 4.
For what?
+4. Put one on -2.
I agree.
Put one on a +5. Put one on -1. And put one on 0. Alright, thank you, Miss Nayeli. So now we have to put these numbers in order from least to greatest. When we look at a number line, in order for us to put them in order from least to greatest, you start on what side, Chalise?
Left.
So when I want to put them in order from least to greatest,
Left to right.
you look at your number line and you pull them straight down from the left side to the right side. So from left, oops, that's left to right. So here's what I mean by that. What's our first number to the left?
-8.
So that's our least number. Okay. What's our next number from left side, from the left side?
-2.
So -2. What's the next number?
-1.
What's the next number?
0.
What's the next number?
+3.
What's the next number?
+4.
And then the next number.
+5.
So now once we put it off from the left side to the right side, they're in order from least to what?
Greatest.
Greatest. What if I asked you to put these in order from greatest to least? What side would we have started with first?
Right.
The right side to the what?
Left.
Left. But since the direction said least to greatest, we now have them in order from our least to greatest. So make sure that you show that on your paper. Alright, let's move on to example 1. Example 1, read for me, Julius.
Okay. Write an equality statement relating to ordering integers from the opening exercise. Below each integer, write its absolute value.
So we're going to write an inequality statement relating the ordered integers from the opening exercise. So what that means is we're going to use an inequality symbol. So here's an example of an inequality symbol. A less than sign as well as a
Greater than.
greater than sign, okay? These are called inequality symbols. Okay? So basically, we're just going to simply put inequality symbols between these numbers so that they read a correct inequality statement. So what can I say about -2, -8, and -2? -8 is what? The -2.
Less than.
Less than. So can I put a less than sign here?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to put a less than sign between those two numbers. What about -2 and -1?
Less than.
-2 is what than -1?
Less than.
Less than. So I can put another less than sign here. What about -1 and 0?
Less than.
Less than. What about 0 and 3?
Less than.
0 is less than 3. What about 3 and 4?
Less than.
Less than. What about 4 and 5?
Less than.
Less than.
It's in a pattern.
Yep.
Less
So if we went from greatest to least, what would happen to that inequality symbol?
They would be turned to a greater.
They would flip around, right? It would be greater than all the way down, right? Alright, so this is one inequality statement that's true, for the situation that we just did in our opening exercise. So that's all on example 1 that we're going to do. The rest of that we have scratched out for you, so turn the page for me. On exercise 1, it says complete the steps below to order these numbers. So we see that we have rational numbers here because we have decimals. So track those numbers for me. So it says separate the set of numbers into positive rational numbers, negative rational numbers, and 0 in the top cells below. Order does not matter. So you don't have to put them in order in this. You just have to make sure that they fall in the right column. So let's look at this. 2.1, positive 2.1. What circle would that go in? Track the paper for me. So they know what I'm talking about. Point to 2.1 at the top. Alright, now let's look at the circles. So with 2.1, go in negative rational numbers, positive rational numbers, or absolute values.
Positive rational numbers.
Positive rational numbers, right? Because 2.1 is what? Positive, right? So it would go under positive rational numbers. What about negative 4 1/2?
Negative rational numbers.
You would put that under negative rational numbers. What about negative 6?
Absolute value.
Is absolute value negative?
Oh, negative rational numbers.
It would go under negative rational numbers. And that would be considered a rational number because I can make negative 6 into a fraction by simply saying negative 6 over 1. Okay? Alright. What about 0.25?
Positive rational numbers.
Positive, because that's a positive number. What about negative 1.5?
Negative rational numbers.
It's a negative rational number. Alright. 3.9.
Positive.
Positive rational number. Negative 6.3.
Negative.
Negative rational number. Alright, and then you'll finish doing that whole list, okay? Then when you get down to absolute value, on lesson 11, we learned that absolute value is always what? Positive. Alright, the absolute value is always positive. So no matter what column you put it in, make sure that you put the absolute value is positive. So the absolute value of 2.1 would be what?
Would be
2.1. The absolute value of negative 4 1/2 will simply be
4 1/2.
4 1/2. It's that number, but it's always positive. So whatever number you see listed there, it's going to be positive when you put it in the absolute value circle. Okay? No matter if it was negative before, it's still going to be positive. If it was positive before, it's still going to be positive. Okay? So then when you get down to C, track C on your paper. C says, order each subset of absolute values from least to greatest. So, track the paper again. So, once you have these numbers listed here in the absolute value bubble, you're going to come down here and you're going to put them in order. So, whatever numbers you have here, you're going to put them in order from least to greatest. Okay? And it would help if you put them on a number line. So, once you find their absolute value, just put them in order from least to greatest. And I'm going to give you a hint. All of these will be positive because you pulled them from the absolute value circle. Okay? Then you'll go to this side. You'll put all of these absolute values in this circle in order from least to greatest. When you get down to the next box, it says order each set of rational numbers from least to greatest. Again, you're doing the same thing, but you're using the rational numbers, okay? And then when you get to the bottom, order the whole given set of rational numbers from least to greatest. That's all of these numbers. You're going to put them in order from least to greatest. So, and then the rest of the packet you should be able to do. You just simply have 2 questions on the problem set where you're telling which one is greater, and then the absolute value for the number. So that should be able to take you through there. If you have any troubles with this, locate your small group teacher so that they can assist you with this lesson.